Today, we're going to talk about the principles of ascension, the principles of awakening, the principles of enlightenment. Are they the same thing? We're going to get into that, but I'm going to talk about the very simple, basic principles to go into that space. What's in that space? Everything that you desire. Peace that you can't even imagine. Love, acceptance, gratitude, love for one another. And then what happens? We manifest miracles from that space. You ready? We're going to learn that right now. Welcome to Landria Onkka on YouTube, here to help you break through the fears, live an amazing life. I'm going to give you tools to manifest anything. Boy, I got a lot. Before we begin, and I'm going to give you the simple steps, the absolute principles of ascension, awakening. They're very simple. You can start following them today. I want to announce a couple of things. First of all, down in the description, a free mobile app that I created to keep you in positive thoughts, to get you to switch all day long with an alarm system that pulls you out of negative thinking. That's going to be key because we're going to talk about that today. The second thing is, as of this video, I have launched a series of master classes, and one is called the 30-Day Prosperity Challenge. This is based on Earl Nightingale. If you don't know who he is the partner of Napoleon Hill, who wrote Think and Grow Rich. These are principles that they didn't come up with. They were based on principles of prosperity that have been used for centuries, that are even discussed in the Bible. And of course, we've modernized them. I am teaching a masterclass March 21st live, but if you sign up for this, you get the replay within 24 hours, a PDF, step-by-step ways to hit that 30-day prosperity goal based on these massively successful, effective principles, along with my own teaching style in there. And then what's going to happen? You go into a private group where we're going to actually intermingle, talk about our goals, keep each other on track, and that's what's going to keep you there in that high space of achieving your goals. And this is so important. Now I have a miracle class coming up. I want to talk about this because what's happening when we go into these awakening principles or prosperity challenges or whatever, when you're on your own, it's so tough to maintain that high level of focus because we start to go back into our old patterns and habits. And that absolutely, number one, is what really blocks us from going into that next space. The things that we believe, we've been told, the same patterns, the same thinking about certain situations, the same triggers, the same actions. It's tough to get out of the same actions. You come home, you turn on the TV, you have dinner with your family, whatever it is you do. You get into a pattern. And so when you go into a space of life that's not so desirable, if you look at what you're doing, you have to recognize that it has to change. And so sometimes the things you're doing don't seem so bad. Okay, what's so bad about having dinner with my family, watching a little TV, meditating, whatever? It's not that it's bad. It's just not expansion into that space you want to go into, which would be awakening. Now, why do we want to awaken? Everything we're doing here is based on achieving higher goals, evolving, becoming higher frequency beings. That's everything. So all these things you're experiencing, this journey, the challenges of struggle with finances or illness or relationships, all of that is in place, not chaotic, purposely there for you to ascend. Everything is a choice. So every time you go into one of those situations, it is your moment of awakening. You get to choose that. And what is that? A choice of awakening means I'm going to do the best possible thing that may not be what I desire as an ego. But I'm going to tell you what's going to happen if you do that. So at the time, if you want something and you give it to somebody else, the repercussions, the cause and effect from that is astronomically, amazingly positive for that person and for you. And for you. What does the Bible say? I'm probably not the best person to be quoting the Bible, but I do know some very powerful sayings that hold true to this day. And that is, give the person your coat, and then, and after that, give them the shirt off your back. Ladies, I don't recommend you doing that. Why does it say that? And I don't know how it's phrased. I'm sure somebody will put that in the comments for me. The point is, just give without expecting anything back. In other words, when I give freely to someone who's in need, not an enabler, we don't want to go into that space, but somebody truly in need, when I know I can make a positive difference, when I can say something nicer, when I can hold back resentment and anger and go into a positive space and understand this is my training, this is my teachings right here. So the principles are always making a higher choice. What's a higher choice? Recognizing when your ego's talking and when your higher self is talking. Now, I had an amazing conversation. You guys know I do internet marketing. We actually talk about all this stuff in our internet marketing training. I hold webinars, live webinars, with the students who are learning how to create online businesses. But we talk about this stuff because if you don't go into this space of passion and bringing value to others and raising your frequency, your business is not going to flourish, or you're going to create one that's not going to make you happy or contribute to the planet. So that whole system, by the way, is based on this. Isn't that amazing? We're making higher choices. So even in business, even in your work, no matter what you do, you can make that higher choice. And again, the effect from that action you take will be amazing. And of course, we know the end result is we're all going to leave here. And we want to go to that higher place up there. We don't want to go back to school in there. You will continue school on the other side if you don't achieve your goals here. And all of it's free will. You don't have to follow through. Somebody said, do I have to remain poor? Absolutely not. In fact, you probably came here to experience that and to experience the, let's just say, recognize your ability to not stay in that space anymore. You don't have to be broke. All right? So you don't have to remain in any space. You have 100% free will while you're here in this role. Somebody wanted to change their body. I said, come back as another person next time. Be grateful for who you are. All right? So gratitude is absolutely huge. Making higher choices, number one, gratitude for that which you have. We all have things. We have gifts. We have beauty in anything. I don't care what you think you look like. You're beautiful. You're absolutely beautiful. There is nothing you cannot achieve. And so we limit ourselves. So those are lower choices. So number one, if you're making a lower choice thought, that is the first thing that's going to hold you back from awakening. If you think badly about yourself or other people, and it's all coming down to that thinking, this is why I'm doing the 30-day prosperity challenge. You're going to take 30 days and you're going to implement all of these steps, step by step, of how to get that in check. Because ascension is critical for you. And that's number one, because not only does it take you to higher frequency and create an amazing planet, of which we came here to do this, right? But the gateway's open for you for abundance, prosperity, to have that job that you desire, to have that relationship, to get the health, because you're not holding all this stuff in here. We don't even know we're doing it. All right, so number one, are you going to make a higher choice always? A higher choice. So we've talked about manifesting. I show you ways to manifest money, go into money mindset, all this stuff, because I want you to flourish financially, because broke people can't do a lot of good for others, much less themselves. But let's talk about the higher choice. Ascension's about a higher choice, and that may not have anything to do with money. Sometimes it might be giving to somebody else. Now, I've given money to people before, and I'm pretty good at choosing, but I recently had somebody who just basically, as soon as they get it, their attitude changes. And so I realized, we have to make choices and understand that not everything's going to work out in your favor, right? So if you give the shirt off your back, you got to understand there's a chance you may not get the shirt back, but that karma for them is not going to be good. It's not going to be good. All right? And so we don't have to be rugs. You don't have to give to the point where you're depleting your own energy. Not that that's really possible, by the way. But I just want to share with you that giving And putting the other person first is always a higher decision. And that decision may not be giving them stuff to enable them. It might be tough love. So you have to really think good and hard about that decision you're making. In this situation, what is the best possible choice for that person? Shall I be kind always? Yes. You can always be kind even when you have tough love that needs to be delivered. Always. Do you have a child that's just not getting their act together? You know what? You're making it too easy for them. Enablers, they're getting into stuff they shouldn't. Maybe it's time to tell them, go off on your own and figure this out. I'm going to tell you what, I grew up in the Midwest. You guys know this. When you have parents that are not handing everything to you, there's a beauty later on. You realize, wow, I bought my first car by myself. My parents absolutely were there to help me do that, but I earned every cent. Now my father, he gave me a car, but I had to work at one point 3 jobs to pay him back. He gave me a loan, and I paid that loan back. That gave me an amazing sense of accomplishment, and he enabled me to learn how to take care of myself. And so these are principles that you can hold fast to. So giving isn't enabling people to not be their strongest, highest self. And this happens all the time. And the same goes with you. Are you making higher choices for yourself? Or are you allowing yourself to stay in that lower position of asking other people for stuff and not standing on your own 2 feet? Because we want to be able to take care of ourselves. Now, this conversation I had with my internet student, I was on there for an hour. She and I were talking about all this stuff, and I said, what people don't realize is that awakened self that you are, you've never lost connection with it. It's not something you have to aspire to. It's always there. When you came down from this energy, came into this energy field, you never stopped being your higher self. You didn't disconnect from it, and now you're here. Because everything's connected. It's just one energy. So you can't cut that off and come in here. And this is one, I really want you to get this straight, because if you have an epiphany with this, it's going to make you realize how powerful you are. All right? That higher self of you is conscious right now in the higher realms of what you're doing here. When you access your higher self, you're actually going into just your own higher frequency and placing your ego aside. That's all you're doing. There's no higher self that's separate. You are already it. It's just that we came in here to play this dense role. So without that density, we can't play out these roles of loss and anger and, all these struggles. We can't really feel that if we are thinking that we know what we are. So in order for us to play out the role, we have a veil. Let's just say a veil there. So we can't really see what we are until we evolve into that again and recognize we never were disconnected from it. So then you raise your frequency back and the veils start to come down. That's what the veil is. The veil is sort of like, a curtain. You pull the curtain and you can see the light through it, but you can't really see what's on the other side. That's what we're in. And that's what density is. So when you pull those curtains back, you realize, I always was this. And my student and I talked about this, and she said, I kept looking for heaven someplace else, and it was right here. And that's what that means. And it's frustrating for people who are not feeling that, right? It's like, how can it be here? I'm on this planet where everybody's like, cray-cray. It is here. Because all those cray-cray people are connected to their higher selves too. We're all part of the one highest energy of the entire galaxy, universes beyond our comprehension. I don't know what it is, and I don't know where it came from, but I know we are it. And through our contrast, we're understanding what it, the source, that beautiful source, can be. And without knowing what this is, it can't really feel that amazing space of which it is. So let's say when we leave here and we go to the other side, why is it so blissful? Because we know what it's like to not be so blissful, right? That's what this is doing for us. You don't have to go to that dark place. Once you go there and you experience that, you can allow it to teach you the lessons, to appreciate it, and then go to the higher space. Always make a higher choice. That's really it. If there's one thing I would tell you, and that is always make the higher choice. The higher choice does not include the ego, ever. Ever. What you're going to get, if you need to take care of your family or whatever, what is the highest, best choice for this moment? You're always going to be taken care of. I promise you this. You will always be okay. Come join me for my webinar, my masterclass. We're going to talk about this. I'm going to give you step by step, because what we want to do is we want to train that thinking. Because the thinking's always going to go back to ego-driven self-preservation, right? So if you make the higher choice, it's no separation of you and others. The higher choice is, that's me right there. That's me in a version of the one. This is a version of the one. That's me over there. That's struggling, that's coming into work every day, having to be the boss who's not feeling good about themselves, who's striking out to people because they can't be vulnerable because they're my boss. My boss can't sit there and tell me, you know what, I'm struggling terribly inside, I'm unhappy. Be compassionate about that. That's a higher choice. Anger, compassion. Blame, compassion. Forgiveness. Right? So go into the higher space, and this means you've got to monitor yourself. So if you have, iPhone's coming out soon as of this video. I hope at some point you're watching this and the iPhone's loaded. So I have the Android version. What you must do is catch yourself. And this is why my master classes are going to take you into how do you catch yourself? And how do you make a decision at that moment? What is that decision? Because you're going to want to choose what's going to make you feel good. All right? Now that's okay. You can make that choice. You can make the choice for prosperity to make yourself feel good. But there's going to be so many things that come up that aren't about that. And that higher choice to feel good may be the worst possible choice for others and potentially yourself. It may, come back at you. Right? Especially if it's about the material goods and things that you know darn well. That's not what you should be doing. All right? A higher choice is not going into a job that you hate just to get more money. That's not a higher choice. Those are tough ones to make. I quit my 25-year investment banking career. I had no clue what I was going to do. Thank goodness I saw this ad for internet marketing. My gut told me these people were the real deal. And so if you come in with a bad attitude, you're setting yourself up for failure because you're really creating that yourself, right? If you get training for something like this, or you go into even one of my master classes, if you're not implementing it, that's your choice. I am not in control of that. So teachers can only give you the tools. It's up to you how you view them. And if you're coming in, and when I get these emails, what are you going to give me? My answer is, I don't know. What are you going to do with it? What are you going to give that's going to be good for you? Well, how are you going to use these tools? Because they can get you to 7, 8 figures. We have people hitting those goals. Is that typical? No. Why? Because the majority of people really don't believe that they can do that. And some of them don't want to do that, right? And they have other goals. That's cool. But if it is your goal and you're not hitting it, you got to wonder why. And then, so is the highest choice just to go make money? Maybe that's why it's not working. What's the highest choice? I need to love my life. I need to feel good about everything. So the founder of the company, the training company's dad died a few years ago. And he was an amazing runner. He was like a gold medal runner. And before he died, he told my friend, the founder of the training company, that if he could change anything, if there's one thing, instead of focusing so much on his own goals, which inspired other people, there was nothing wrong with that, but he would have shared that with young people, maybe done some training, or volunteered to work with young people and give them some focus on goals. Maybe kids that were troubled, who might want to be runners, who can work with somebody who has achieved goals like that. Because he did it later in life. He was a great runner, but he continued to do that even as a middle-aged guy. He continued to win awards, which was amazing. But he didn't share it like he wanted to later on when he got ill. He realized he was leaving, And the legacy he left was not the one he could have done. So you don't want to leave with regrets. You can't go back. Once you decide to leave this planet, you can't go back, because every moment is a decision for you to make a higher one. And sometimes it won't feel really great. You know, you got the pie, and then there's the bigger piece, and you're going, I really want that pie. I love chocolate pie. And then you push it over to your brother. My brother and I used to, one had to cut and one got to choose, right? So you imagine the person who got to cut the pie was measuring it perfectly. Well, what if the other person got the bigger piece? Would that be so terrible? It actually felt good later on when I realized it felt better to give that other person more, and then even more. All right, so I saw a bartender who was on crutches the other day, asked her what the deal was. She was we have a big movie industry here in Atlanta. She was a stunt girl. A real young girl, got injured, had no insurance. She said, if I'm not working, you know, I don't have money to pay my bills. So of course my girlfriend and I, who were there on our own business meeting, you know, pulled some cash out and said, here's for the fund to help you. We took her number and we said, we're going to help her. We're going to help her to try and raise some funds, and gave her some suggestions to do that. Go that extra mile. Go that extra mile. Put yourself out. It's going to feel really good. That one thing that could make a difference in somebody's life could be huge for them, and it's going to be huge for you. So let's focus on just the higher choice. Is my ego talking here? Am I okay with walking away? Am I okay with handing, especially material stuff, am I okay with handing this over? Is it worth fighting over stuff? You know, I have 2 lawsuits that I won against clients over $1 million. And once I got, you know, claimed the money that was owed me, it wasn't worth the energy and what it would take to just chase them down. So I didn't. And so I walked from that. So what happened? I ended up getting out of that financial industry altogether and doing this. All right? Everyone should receive abundance. See, this is the beauty of it. You never want to deny that from anybody else. You don't want to hold back from somebody else. If somebody offers value, give to them. They're giving to you, give to them. Don't go into that lack mindset. And we're going to learn all this in the 30-day prosperity challenge. So if you guys want to sign up, go to landriaonkka.com. I'll give you the code. I'll give you the code if you're not in my free email list. Here's the code. Manifest Prosperity. And it'll give you $10 off. That means $10 an hour to spend with me, right? $10 an hour, $30. And then you get the PDF, and you go into that private Facebook group where we're going to monitor, if you want to, monitor your success and keep you on track. If you don't have that support system out there, it gets difficult, because that little brain, that little chatter in the head's going to keep telling you that you need to do this, or rich people are bad, or, you know, I don't want to give my money to you. What are you going to give me? And that is that lack mentality, ego, that doesn't understand that there is no limit to abundance. None. I want you to know how much money's on this planet. We could all be millionaires. Did you know that? Did you know there's enough money on this planet for everybody to be a millionaire? Do you know there's enough food for everyone to have more than enough to eat? Everyone. There's enough shelter on this planet to give every single person a home. Why aren't we doing it? Because we're petrified. We're petrified of not having all of that. We're petrified of giving and not getting back. It's going to be the most challenging thing for you. When you go to that higher state, you go into awakening, because you realize that's all we came here for. It's how we treat one another. Do you have a word to say to somebody and it's negative? I read comments sometimes on my channel. I'm thinking, you know what? We could say these things differently to one another. We could speak differently to one another. We're not always right. We're right for us. It's right for me. Somebody got upset because you think you're right. And I said, no, I don't. I think I'm right for me. And if what I share, which I always choose positive messages, if what I share helps change somebody's life, yay. You don't have to think the way I do. Choose what you want, but make sure it's the higher frequency choice that places others first And that will come back to you tenfold beyond that. But don't do it for that. Every single thing, including your thought, is this a higher thought? Is this a higher choice? Is this a higher sentence that I'm speaking? Is this a higher communication? You don't have to lose your personality. You don't have to go into La La Land and be Mother Teresa, although she was a little tough bird to be around, right? No, you just simply have to make the highest possible choice you can at the moment. And then, of course, the second thing is just 2 steps here, just 2 steps to awakening. Gratitude. Because a higher choice is love, compassion, forgiveness. And the second thing is gratitude. I'm thankful. I'm thankful for these opportunities to raise my frequency. I'm grateful for the experiences that I've had, my teachers who have showed me that there is another way to see my situation, that there is a way out of it, and that no matter what they do, my ability to release any anger toward them is the higher choice that takes me to awakening, which is why I came here. Oh my gosh, there's my ladybug. One ladybug. Okay, I don't know. That's my thing. Ladybugs show up for me. Okay. You'll get signs all the time. I'm talking about this. I'm talking about higher frequencies. One ladybug shows up. Higher frequencies. Work on it. Come join me for the 30-day prosperity challenge. If you see this video after March 21st, go purchase it anyways. Your code works. And guess what? You get the 3-hour webinar masterclass, you get the PDF, and you get to go into the private group. So it all works. You don't have to be at that live class. You can purchase it now, and if you don't make the live class, you're still okay. Let's start using the tools. Work on it. Work on it. Get the help. I'm here for you. All right, so go down in the description. I'll give you all kinds of free stuff and all kinds of things down there. And, of course, subscribe. Please share my videos. Please post them everywhere. Everywhere. I allow that. I want you to spread the word. My goal is to get my word out there and help as many people as possible. I want to do it on a massive scale. Because when I speak here, if I'm speaking to millions versus hundreds of thousands, that's going to make a big difference. We're raising the whole frequency of the planet by doing that. All right, so you're whole and perfect, strong, powerful, loving, harmonious, and happy. All of this is who you are, all of it. Just recognize that. I'm sending you light, love, health, wealth, abundance, most of all awakening. Namaste.